The Manipur state government has now clamped down with a curfew under Section 144 of the CRPC across 8 districts with immediate effect after violence broke out on Wednesday during a tribal solidarity march called by the All Tribal Student Union of Manipur. The protest was against the demand of the Meiteis community of Manipur for the scheduled tribe status, the ST status. The curfew has been imposed in Imphal West, Kakching, Thoubal, Jiribam, Bishnupur, Churchandpur, Kangkokpi and Tengopal districts. But broadband services have become operational as of now. The local MLAs had earlier openly endorsed the demand by some Meitei community organizations for the ST status for the majority community of the state of Manipur, over 53%. Now, this had led to opposition from other communities who figure in the ST list already. Now, meanwhile, the Indian Army and the Assam Rifles in particular conducted a flag march in areas of Manipur where violent clashes occurred during a tribal group mass rally. Kalyan, they've talked to us that these visuals are extremely worrying. What is the situation at the moment on the ground?
Well, Mr. Kumar, the situation is still tense. Although there has been no report of violence from today, but there were arsoning and there were situations of violence, reports of violence coming in till 3 a.m. in fact, till today morning. However, after sunrise, there has been no reports of any violence, and now people of other communities from Churachandpur, where I am right now, are being moved out. They are being escorted by army vehicles and security officials. A lot of students and family members have already been evacuated. The evacuation process, in fact, started last night itself, and it's still underway. They are being evacuated through army personnel. However, the concern raised by the people of the Kuki community, which is one of the major communities here in Churachandpur, is that their relatives have not arrived here yet. However, we have received inputs from Imphal that the army has been mobilized and the evacuation process is underway. So, since the internet, because of the internet suspension, the people here have not been able to get updates from other districts. So I think probably through this they will get to know that evacuation process is currently underway in fact in Churachandpur as well as in Imphal right now. However, the situation is still tense. It is as far as I've spoken to the locals here. It may escalate if the situation is not brought under control as earlier.
Why this violence spread?
Yes.
And why such violence took place in Imphal? What has happened in last 24 hours? Because, people see these visuals, but they're not getting a sense of why. What prompted it?
Yeah. What was the trigger?
The very simple thing here is that you suddenly line up 3 issues which are all explosive in nature. If you are governing properly and you know the sensitivities of the issues, you don't sort of put everything, you don't put 5 types of chilies on the table, when one is good enough to knock you out. That's the point I'm trying to make. Now here I have the forest issue, which has upset the cookies, and they think they have been branded as poppy, farmers, drugs peddlers and all that. Whereas they think that real drug smuggling takes place from Myanmar with very great support from people in high places. Now, that's an allegation. But the point here is the cookies have this forest issue. The Meiteis want ST status, which the Nagas and the cookies are opposing because they think that will take away the special privileges that they have had, which will mean that, but the Meiteis have very good reasons to ask for it. They think they have been deprived of development. If they get ST status, then the Kukis and the Nagas are already ST, scheduled tribes. So in that case, Manipur will become a tribal state, and their allocations, central allocations, will be at par with Mizoram or Nagaland.
Right.
Everybody has a very strong reason. The Meitis have a very strong reason to push for what they are pushing. The Cookies have a strong reason to push for what they are pushing. And the Nagas, of course, they have been talking of a greater Naga limb, which everybody else is opposing. So this is a very volcanic mix. And unless this is delicately handled both by the center and by the state government, you are looking at a major crisis.
Sumit Bhomik, really telling us exactly what is going on. Between the Meiteis and the Cookies and the Nagas, there have been simmering tensions, and it is a delicate balancing act that both the state government and the central government has to do.
It was a telling comment in part of Mr. Bhomik when he used these three words. Our constitutional framers felt in the late 40s and early 50s that identity politics is incompatible with the constitutional morality because they understood, our founding fathers, they understood one thing, that when we talk about liberty, important words like fraternity are not discussed. And secondly, the point I'm trying to make here is that if you think that identity is a resolution of economic and social issues, then you can go down to a village and the issue will not get resolved, because Northeast is a potpourri of more than 250 identities. How much will you localize? How many territorial councils will you make? How many autonomous councils will you make? There has to be, if you say there is unity in diversity, I think the diversity also needs to uphold the principle of unity. And the unity is that within the constitutional framework it will happen. So I think the larger problem is that politicians in Northeast, of all the political parties who are active, they try to seek resolution of issues through identity politics, which not only plagues Northeast, but is something which plagues the Indian politics, the very heart of it, the beating heart of it.